Welcome back to my channel, folks. My name is Tawia Patrick Matope. I talk on this channel concerning anything to do with social workers, particularly child protection and safeguarding work. I just want to put a disclaimer to say I'm not a legal expert, but I'm a social worker, and the things that I talk about on this channel are mostly nuggets from my own experiences, which I think I can share with. I'm free to share with with anybody who is able to view this channel, but it's not meant to be taken as legal advice. If you need legal advice, speak to a solicitor and you'll be able to get advice that you need in concerning any situation that you are in. These are only nuggets which I'm sharing from my own experiences as a social worker and as a team manager for some time now. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how a parent can avoid legal proceedings and removal of their children when working with children's services. These are just nuggets from my own experiences, and I think these are things that I think if a normal parent tries to adhere with whenever your children are open to social care, you should be able to actually avoid a situation where things degenerate into a situation where your children need to be taken to court, for the court to be making a decision about whether the children should remain in your care or should be moved to another friend or family, or to be moved to foster care or adoption, whatever the situation may be at the end of those proceedings. I've already put a disclaimer there, colleagues. I'm not a guru in this area, but these are just nuggets which I'm sharing from my own experiences as a social worker practicing for the past 18 years. So take note of that. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give you about 12 nuggets from my own experiences, which I think will help somebody who is watching, this video. And you are free to share this video and click that, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that when I post another video, you'll be the first person to know and to be notified so that you can watch whatever video that I'm going to be posting on this channel. So, to avoid legal proceedings and potential removal of your child when working children's services in England, I think it's quite important to take note of that. There are many other things that you can do. First and foremost, you are the one who knows why your child is open to social care. You are the one who is working with a particular social worker or a group of social workers. You are also working with a team manager who is supervising that social worker, and other professionals who are also working, whether within the core group or whether it's a child need network that you are working with within that framework. You are the one who knows the reasons why your children are open to social care, and you need to be taking advice which they are giving you. So I think that's quite important. First and foremost, point number one is to work collaboratively with social care and the professionals. That's really, really important. You need to cooperate with social care. You need to cooperate with the professionals and make sure that you are working towards addressing the concerns which they are raising concerning your children, to make sure that they are safeguarded and to make sure that their welfare and their needs are taken care of going forward. So in terms of cooperation, I would say you need to cooperate fully with children's services. You need to engage in an open manner and demonstrate a willingness to work collaboratively with them. That's really, really important. There's no need for you to be lying, because at the end of the day, they can always do agents checks and find out what's going on. They can always, check with whoever you are lying about, and they can always get information. So I think it's quite important for you to work open and honestly with social care and with all the other professionals that you are working with, to make sure that you are supported to address the concerns which they are raising about your children, and to make sure that your children are safeguarded going forward. That's number one, and it's quite crucial as well. Number two, you need to be participating in all assessments which they will require you to participate in. It could be a viability assessment, in terms of your friends and family. It could be a child and family assessment to assess the needs of your child and the needs of you as a parent, to make sure that you meet the needs of your child. You need to be engaging with them. It could be a parenting assessment. It could be a pre-birth assessment. You need to be participating in all those assessments. Fully participate. And when you cannot make it to an appointment, you need to notify them in advance that I'm not able to make it to this appointment. Can we reschedule it to this day, and so forth. It doesn't necessarily mean your social worker can't cancel appointments as well. Sometimes, remember, you're not the only person, or your family is not the only family which is open to social care. Sometimes that worker might be working with 5 other families who are also open to him or her. So you should be able to know that sometimes things come up, at short notice, and they may need to cancel sessions and so forth. But on your part, do as much as you can to make sure that you work with them and you participate in all those assessments, and be open and honest. I mentioned about being open and honest already. Make sure that you're open and honest in your engagement with them. What I'm saying with regards to this is participate actively. Make sure that you give your views. Your views are taken on board, and if you feel that your views have not been heard correctly, you are able to correct them and be able to say exactly what it is that you think has happened, or what you think you need to see happening going forward. You need to actively participate in any assessments, any evaluations which are being conducted by children's services. Sometimes these assessments are done by the social worker who is allocated to your children. Sometimes they're done by an independent person. Sometimes they are done by a professional who is contracted by the local authority. For example, if it is a psychological assessment, or if it's, for example, a together and apart assessment, you need to be engaging fully in that kind of an assessment as well. So I mentioned about parenting assessment. It could be a mental health assessment if they are presenting concerns around your mental health, or it could be a substance abuse assessment. You need to be engaging with all those assessments. That's quite crucial. Point number 3, this is also very important, is to make sure that this is one of the measures which you can put in place to make sure that your views are heard and the views of your children are also heard. You need to be attending the meetings which they are calling for. If it is a team around the family meeting, if it is a child in need meeting, if it is a core group meeting, if it is a lack review meeting, if it is an initial child protection conference, if it is a review child protection conference, you need to be attending those meetings to make sure that your views are heard. You participate in those meetings. If your children are of an age where they're able to attend those meetings, also speak to your social worker, speak to the IRO, speak to the CP chair to make sure that you are able to attend those meetings and participate fully. You need to attend all the scheduled meetings with social workers and other professionals involved in the case. This shows commitment to the process. So I think this is very, very important. Remember, some of these meetings, they will be announced well in advance. For example, if you're having a core group meeting today, and if I'm the one chairing it, chances are that in that particular meeting, I would have told you already when the next core group meeting is going to be. So I think you need to take note of that. For example, core groups are done sometimes, depending on the local authority, some are every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks. So it's a date that you should be having in your calendar, and plan around it ahead in advance as well. If you are not able to make it to that date, when the date is being set and the time is being set, if you're only able to attend 1 o'clock, make it clear, I'm only able to attend 1 o'clock because I'll be working, but I'm able to put it at 1 o'clock. Social workers are people who are very understanding. Professionals are people who are very understanding of a situation, because they're also professionals in their regard, and they know very well that if you're working and providing for the family, you need to be able to do that and to be able to make your commitments in terms of meeting with professionals and discussing the concerns. So if you're able to do it 1 o'clock when your lunchtime, say to the social worker, and they will be able to consult the professionals and change it to a time that is suitable for you. But it's really crucial for you to be attending those meetings, because that's one other way for you to show that you are really committed. And if anything happens, if that case ends up going to court or being in the court arena, if there is evidence that you have not been attending meetings, you have not been participating in any assessments, you have not been cooperating with the local authority, that is issues which are staking against you in terms of the evidence that the local authority is going to put before the court and say they've not been engaging with us, they've not even been attending meetings, so we are not quite aware of what their views would be in regards to this particular issue, and so forth. So I think it's quite crucial for you to be attending meetings as well. Point number 4, you need to follow recommendations of the plan that you are working with. If the plan says you need to be engaging with a substance abuse organization in terms of you addressing concerns around substance misuse, you need to be doing that. If the plan says you need to be engaging with a DV support worker, you need to be doing that. That is how you can address these concerns which are being raised by professionals, right? If you engage with professionals and you address all the issues on the plan, come to the point of review, there may not be any reason for those children to remain on the plan. But if you don't engage with the plan, the children may remain on the plan, and that's when the local authority may end up seeking legal advice, especially when the plan is dragged for more than, say, for example, 10 months, there's no progress going on. A year, there's no progress going on. Then the local authority may end up thinking to think about seeking legal advice, in terms of taking that case to the courts and let the judge decide in terms of what needs to be happening. So you need to be making sure that you follow the recommendations of the professionals, as well as the social worker you are working with, and possibly the team managers and other professionals whom you are working with. You need to make sure that you implement any of the recommendations, plans which are being provided by Children's Services, and this could involve attending parenting classes, counseling, and other support programs. I mentioned about DV support programs. I mentioned about substance abuse support programs. If there is caring dads, which is there in your area, make sure that you take part in such kind of a program. It doesn't matter to say, for you to say, I'm the father, the child is, the child is usually taken care of by the mother. It doesn't work like that. If you are a parent and you've got parental responsibility over that child, then that parental responsibility, you need to be exercising it in such a manner that you also address some of these concerns which are being raised by professionals. So I think it's quite crucial for you to take note of that as well. Point number 5, it actually talks about whatever that we spoke about in the last 4 points. Address the concerns. If there are specific concerns raised by Children's Services, take proactive steps to address them. This might involve making changes in the home environment or personal behaviors. If you are somebody with temperamental anger issues, you need to be addressing those concerns. If there are issues concerning the home environment which has been noted to be unhygienic or unsafe for the children, you need to be taking proactive steps to be addressing those concerns. Usually local authorities, when there are issues to do with the home environment, they might allocate you a family support worker who can work with you actively to address or to actually make sure that you can clean up. If it's something that needs professional cleaners to be coming in, liaise with your social worker to make sure that that support is put in place. And if there are friends and family who are able to come and support you to make sure that you make those changes in terms of your home environment, then you need to be doing that within the children's timescales. There's no point in you dragging your feet, because those things will need to be done. Whether you do it or not, it will still remain there and it needs to be done. And if it's not done for a considerable period of time, that's when the local authority may end up thinking of taking that particular case to court for the courts to make a decision as to what needs to be happening. So you need to be addressing the concerns. It's really, really important. Point number 6. When you are being given advice early on in the process by the social workers and by professionals, you need to take heed of that advice. It's really, really important to take advice. You can only consult with the solicitor if there is an indication that the local authority is taking this case a notch up, for example, to pre-proceedings, or if there's an indication that they are taking this case to proceedings within the courts, then you should be able to take advice from a solicitor. But there is no need for you to be seeking legal advice when there is no indication that the local authority is taking this case to court, because you might be wasting your resources. The local authority is not going to be, or the state is not going to pay for that legal advice. But if you are moneyed and you think you need to do that, you can do that. But sometimes there's no point in doing that, because you are actually wasting resources that you could actually use to address the concerns which are being highlighted by the professionals and by the social workers. Point number 8, which is really, really important, is you need to be able to demonstrate that you are making the necessary changes which are being required. You need to be demonstrating that you are able to make the necessary changes that are being asked for. So I think it's important to take note that if there are issues identified by Children's Services or other professionals, demonstrate positive changes over time. It's not only about demonstrating positive changes now, and then a month down the line, things slide back to where they were. You should be able to demonstrate change and be able to sustain that change over a lengthy period of time for you to be able to evidence that you have made the changes which you have asked me to do, and you will see that social care will step out of your life imminently, or at some point they'll step out of your life and let you go just like that and lead your life. So this may also involve addressing substance abuse problems, attending therapy, or improving on your parenting skills. Improving on your parenting skills usually comes when there is specific support which has been put in place for you to improve on your parenting skills. You need to be taking on board the advice that you are getting in those sessions and actually exercise it and give feedback on how things are to the professional who is supporting you with that. It's really, really important. You need to stay informed about any processes that are happening and your rights as a parent, and you need to understand the system that can help also in making informed decision. How can you stay informed? You need to stay in touch with your social worker, give updates on how things are going on, and when they come for visits, make sure that you engage with them fully and make sure that your views and your voice is heard. Your children's voice is also heard in terms of what's going on. They give updates on what's working well, what's not working well, and so forth. you need to stay informed. And whenever you have a core group or a child need review meetings, it's your right to request for those minutes, because they are minutes talking about your children. So as a parent, you've got the right to be receiving those minutes as well. Unless if there's a court order or something else in terms of a risk assessment which may indicate that sharing those minutes with the other parent might put the children at risk, then that's something that social care can make a decision on. But you need to be making sure that you stay informed on what's happening. Record keeping. It's also important for you to keep records for yourself. When I say record keeping, I didn't say record meetings which you are attending with professionals and social care. That's not how it's done. It's not allowed for you to be recording those minutes. It's not allowed for you to be recording those meetings as well. But I'm saying record keeping in the sense that if a professional shares a report with you, if they share minutes with you, if they share a particular piece of information or an assessment with you, you need to be keeping that in a folder where you keep all those records for yourself as well, for future reference as well. And when a visit is done, you can take note of it somewhere in your book or somewhere, what you've discussed in that visit, what it is that the social worker has promised to say, I'm going to do this and this, and to make sure that those things are being done. And when you come to the next scene meeting or a child in need meeting or a core group meeting, you'll be able to say, this is what we discussed in the last visit that you did. Can I please check to see what's going on with regards to this particular point or with regards to this particular support service that we requested and so forth. It's not necessarily the case that anything you request from social workers will be provided, but it's important for you to be making sure that if there's anything that you may want to request, you can request it and follow it up as well. Right. The other thing that is also important is when there is an indication that social care is now likely to be seeking legal advice, or they've sought legal advice and they are proceeding to court, or you have received the letter, which we call letter before proceedings or letter before pre-proceedings. When you receive that letter, then you need to be seeking legal advice. That's the point where you need to be seeking legal advice. And when you take that letter to any solicitor who deals with child and family welfare issues, they will be able to represent you, and that will be under legal aid, and you don't pay them. So you need to be taking that letter. If you've got a solicitor already that you've been working with who specializes in child and family welfare, doesn't necessarily mean that they should be on the list that you receive from the social worker. But if you've got another solicitor that you've been working with who knows your family or who knows your case quite well, and you are happy for them to represent you, then take that letter to them. But usually when that letter comes to you, it comes with a list of solicitors that you can consult. Look for any solicitor who is local to you, and you'll be able to consult them. Go to their offices, call them, they will give you an appointment, go in, discuss your case, and they will be able to support you with legal advice. They will be able to attend what we call PLO meetings or public law outline meetings with you, and they'll be able to represent you in court and go to court with you as well. Last point number 12, which is also important, is if a case is now in the courts arena, you need to comply with the courts. If you see somebody else who is advising you not to comply with the court order, that person doesn't have your best interest at heart. You need to comply with the court orders which are issued. Whether it's private proceedings or it's public proceedings, you need to be complying with any court order which is issued up until that order is varied or done away with by another order. But before that happens, you need to be complying with that order. And if you feel something has been put in the order which you're not happy with, seek legal advice. Your solicitor will be able to advise you on how best that can be changed, or on how best they can take that case back to court to make sure that that point within the order can be varied or can be changed to something that will suit your situation. But my advice would be, or something that I'll say to you would be, you need to make sure that you comply with any court order which is put in place. And even if it's pre-proceedings, the case hasn't gone into court yet, but those pre-proceedings are quite important. You need to comply with what you are being asked to do in those pre-proceeding meetings as well. So I think it's really, really important for you to take note of. And like I said, if a case progresses to court, you need to comply with all those court orders, and you need to attend all those hearings and take note of things that are being said in court. If you are in court, don't just go there, sit as if you are watching a movie or something. You need to be taking notes so that you can, you're not going to have a mind to remember everything that's being said, but take note of the notes. That's why you see even solicitors, they do take notes when they're in court. Even social workers, they do take notes when they attend meetings and so forth. You should be able to take those notes as well. I think, remember, failure to comply with court orders or court directives can have serious consequences. So I think it's quite important for you to know that. Last but not least, I would say it's really important for you as a parent to be proactive, to engage, and be willing to make positive changes to address any concerns raised by children's services or the professionals that you are working with. And you should be able to seek support from professionals and demonstrate some commitment to change, commitment to make sure that the child's well-being and their needs are met, they are safeguarded going forward, in order to avoid legal proceedings and potential removal of your child. So I think with all those few nuggets, you should be able to grab one or two things which will be helpful for you going forward. And thank you so much for watching this video, and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so that when I post again, you'll be the first person to know. Thank you so much.